Thursday, folks. It is Charlotte Cornegay coming live to you guys with another Forever Friends Academy episode. How are you guys doing? Happy Thursday. Happy almost weekend. Hopefully, you guys have been having a fantastic week so far. And thank you for tuning in with me. Let me introduce myself just in case there's someone new to the podcast. My name is Charlotte Cornegay. I'm an author, recording artist, creator of Interact Coaching and Forever Friends Academy. And this is my show, Forever Friends Academy, where we talk about all relationship topics. What I hope that you will get from me is basically an understanding of the fundamental principles that we can ground our relationships and anchor our relationships in to navigate this life and weather the challenges that most definitely, and changes, right? Just natural occurring changes that will happen and take place within our relationships. And that is all relationships, not just the romantic ones, the relationship with yourself, the relationship with you and God, your creator, and any other type of relationship, dynamic, romantic, marriages, co-workers, friendships. We talk about it all, and I love to provide principles that you can take and apply to each and every single relationship that you have so that you can experience authentic love and love to your fullest capacity. So that is the rundown of who I am and the show. And if you'd like to check out my music on stage, I go by Charla K. That's Sharla space and a K. Google me or go to your music platform of choice and peruse my music. Check it out. Definitely. Hopefully you get the vibes. You get some vibes from it. I like to create anthems, inspiration, love, etc. All that you get from here, you'll get from my music, hopefully. So enough about me. Let's get into tonight's topic. And it has been a continuing conversation that we have been having, that I have been articulating what I believe is kind of a progression or the pathway to experiencing genuine, true connection in relationships, as well as a progression of getting to the point to where you are like, I am just going to go forward with my purpose, submit, at all costs to do what I believe that I've been placed here to do. So the process, I'm praying, will kind of it will translate to you in that way, and you'll be able to kind of apply it to the processes that you're in developing either a relationship that you want to experience, true connection and true commitment and like just submission to be able to really engage with one another, or if it's just you focusing on your purpose and wanting to just be full throttle with it, and persevere through whatever challenges that might come your way. So tonight's topic, the statement for tonight, it's been a long statement, so I'm going to say the full statement, up until tonight's statement, but the one that we're going to focus on tonight is I'm about to say it wrong. Some people receive, but they don't embrace. Some people receive, but they don't embrace. So definitely, that's the phrase that we're going to be talking about tonight. Marinate on that. Let me know. One, do you agree with the statement? Maybe you're like, no, Charlotte, I don't know what that statement means. Whatever it is, let me know what your thoughts are. And while you are hopefully giving thoughtful consideration to the statement that I just put out to you guys, I'm going to put it in the context of the full statement that it is derived, that specific phrase and line is derived from. All right, so the full statement goes like this. Some people hear, but they don't listen. Some people listen, but they don't understand. Some people understand, but they don't accept. Some people accept, but they don't receive. And to where we have come to tonight, some people receive, but they don't embrace. So I'll say it again, because I know, at least for me, I think it's a mouthful. All right, so it goes like this. Some people hear, but they don't listen. Some people listen, but they don't understand. Some people understand, but they don't accept. Some people accept, but they don't receive. and some people receive, but they don't embrace. So that is the statement for tonight. Again, do you agree with that statement? And I've been asking this throughout. What do you think the difference is between someone receiving versus embracing? Can you think of a moment in time where someone might have been, whether it was a physical thing or if it was words of wisdom or words of truth, I don't know, where you felt like you received it, but you did not necessarily embrace it wholeheartedly. So let me know what your thoughts are. And I have a quote for tonight to go with that. And the quote for tonight, there were like three that I found that I really like. So I couldn't really choose between them. So I will tell you the first one because I think it sums up even the other two that I found. And basically, the quote for tonight is embrace every version of yourself. Embrace every version of yourself. Right? I mean, it's so simple, a real simple line. And you think the beauty of the simplicity of that line, when you put it in real time and in real life, it's so hard for so many of us, right? Including myself, to do that every stage of life that you're in, to embrace every version of yourself. So I thought that quote was so pertinent and so perfect to kind of use to segue into the conversation we're having tonight. All right. So again, if you popped in and you're new, tonight what we're talking about is a statement that goes like this, that says, some people receive, but they don't embrace. So I want to talk about the difference between receiving and embracing. What do you think that is? And the quote for tonight is, embrace every version of yourself. And I want to ask you guys a question outside of the question that I already just asked you guys. What would you say, or is there anything that you feel like you have embraced that really transformed you? What would be something that you feel like you embraced that really transformed you? So definitely, let me know your thoughts on that. But I will dive into it, and I'll dive into it by kind of giving a review of what we were talking about on the previous podcast about receiving. The last one was some people accept, but they don't receive. And one of the main differences that we kind of distinguished in that conversation is that some people can accept certain things, right? Like you can accept certain things that happen in life, right? It's like, okay, yeah, I can accept that. It is what it is, and sometimes, especially if it's a disheartening thing or challenging, either concept or situation that you're in, that you have to kind of accept to be able to even provide yourself the space to be able to use it as an opportunity to grow out of it, right? Not necessarily to say that when you accept something that you're going to just stay there, but you do have to have a certain amount of acceptance and be able to identify it to be able to grow. And one of the things we distinguish between someone who's accepting and versus someone who is receiving in that type of situation is that you can accept something with your mind, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you have an open heart in it. And one of the examples I gave them was that, let's just say that someone's in a situation where it's very hard to accept whatever condition they're in or whatever circumstance they're in, and maybe they get to the point where it's like, okay, yeah, I accept it. When you get to a point of receiving, and one of the things that I said in the previous podcast is that when you're receiving, when it kind of gets out of the plane of just your mind, and actually you allow it to trickle down to the heart space, right? Where you're like, okay, let me let this, whatever this is, this situation, come into my heart space so that I can, really take in what's going on. And when you find yourselves in situations like that where it might be challenging, and even if it's something hard to accept, I know, at least I'll say experientially, what I have experienced is once I accept it and then I choose to kind of let it go from the mental plane into the heart, then, I'm like, okay, it's not just my mind I'm accepting with, I'm also receiving it with my heart. So basically, when you receive something, you don't just have an open mind towards it, you also have an open heart, right? And another two other things that we talked about on that podcast is that you receive with an open mind and open heart, but you also, which this thing that I loved, is that you basically your faith comes in, right? You are. It's like your faith is what is equipping you and allowing you to kind of receive it. And I love this because for many of us, it's hard. I'm not saying anyone who's listening that to this for you to receive just any old thing that someone says. We don't want to do that. We want to be discernful, and we want to. The heart is a sacred space for us. So you want to be discernful, and you want to. In some of the other previous podcasts with the other statements, I said one of the main things you want to do is hide the word of God in your heart so that when things are coming to you, you can use the word of God to filter the truth and the information that's coming to you so that you know what things to wholeheartedly, right, let touch your heart and come into that space. Because once things go into the heart space, that's the power of the heart space, is that whatever comes there, it can now become something that is a belief of yours, right? So you want to protect that space, and you want to make sure that what's in there is truthful. What's in there is God's word that's hiding in your heart, so that the things that are coming to you, you're not afraid to receive it, because you know, right, that God's word and his truth is going to filter through it. So your faith comes into play, right, where it's literally equipping you to receive it. And another example that I brought up on that episode was an article that I came by where the gentleman he said something which I thought was really nice. He said in the word, it never said to accept Christ, it said to receive Christ. And I was like, that is really good, and it just kind of fortified the point that I was trying to present. And basically he was saying, because it needs to come into the heart space, right? You can hear about something and you can say, okay, yeah, I accept that to be true, but not necessarily, right, let it truly really receive it. And we also use some examples of how you can I use like the context of marriage where, a man can choose a woman as his wife, and she can receive, let me not say receive, accept certain, like come into that position. But I know for me, definitely the way that marriage grew me, I had to learn how to truly, really receive my husband and detect the moments where I was just accepting something that he was saying, and I wasn't allowing it to really come into, the heart space to where it would actually, right, be able to, touch the parts that where transformation starts to begin once you get to a heart posture of receiving rather than just accepting something. So those are some of the things that we talked about. And lastly, I want to say this because I think this was important. We also talked about the difference between accepting something and receiving something is that it's a gift, right? You look at whatever is being given to you and regard it as a gift, right? And I think that's important because, in relationships, especially as they go on, if you're with someone for a very, very long time, the things that used to either excite you, the things that you used to honor, the things that you used to think of as a gift, slowly as that person continues to do those things for you, whether it's maybe a husband giving his wife flowers all the time, or a wife cooking beautiful meals for her husband, entrenched with love and things like that. You can kind of take for granted those things because they're happening all the time. And now those things that we used to look at as gift and as a gift being given to us, and we would honor them, now slowly decrease, right? And that affects, right, how we sometimes you can even feel entitled, to those things because this person has taken on, right, this title and this position in your life. But I think it's a great mindset to keep in a relationship that when you are accepting something and receiving something from your partner, that you regard it as a gift, knowing that that person has to choose, they don't have to, but they are choosing every day to come up and show and display their love and show up and serve in the relationship every day, choosing to do that, right? Not that they have to. So those are some of the things just to give a little brief review of what we talked about on the last podcast and give you guys some time to think. Hey, Divine Savage, how are you? Lovely. Thank you for popping in. We are talking about tonight the statement, some people embrace. I am messing up my statement and I created it, y'all. I'm sorry. Some people receive, but they don't embrace. Some people receive, but they don't embrace. And we can say that in a different way. If it brings some clarity to you guys, we can say some people receive love, wisdom, etc., but they don't embrace. So that's tonight's topic. And the quote for tonight is embrace every version of yourself. Embrace every version of yourself. Think a real simplistic, simple statement, but it has so much power to it and can be very hard for a lot of us to do, especially as changes occur in life. It can be very challenging to embrace every version of yourself. So that is what we're talking about tonight. And the question is basically, I did ask another question as well. Can you think of something that you embrace that completely transformed you in a way? And let me know what that is. So I'll answer that question. And then while I wait to see if I get any feedback from you guys, I'll get into what I believe the difference between receiving and embracing is. So first, to answer that question, I think there's so many things. I have so many things that thankfully, I'm really grateful that I've gotten to a point to be able to embrace things in life. That's not an easy place to get to, especially if you're a person who might be listening to this that started out similar to how I started out in life, or what I was thrust into, and even though I express and I'm vulnerable and I'm free to share with some of things and experiences that I've had in my childhood, by no way and by no means am I expressing it in the way to feel like, oh, I was this victim or anything like that, because I had great grandmother, God bless her, beautiful, strong, sage Jamaican soul, she was absolutely the greatest, and I would not have traded my experience, my family, my circumstance for anything, because it's made me exactly who I am today. And she's the best person, to raise me. Nonetheless, when we talk about the nuclear family and the nuclear union, and a child having the best advantage being with, their mother and their father, by just the fact that I didn't get raised by my father and my mother, I'm already statistically, right, put at a disadvantage. So that's what I mean, meaning that if you didn't come into a situation where the family unit had some, breaks in them, and so that kind of puts you, as a child, not in the best ideal situation for you to grow up in. So that's why I say I'm so grateful that I have developed, to a place where I can earnestly say, man, oh my goodness, I'm not afraid to feel. I'm not afraid to embrace certain things because I know for me, protection was a big thing. And sometimes when you're a person who wants to protect yourself, you put up a lot of guards, and those guards are to defend you from people who are harming you, but they also imprison, it can imprison the very person who's trying to protect themselves to not be able to feel and make authentic connections. So I say all that to say I'm grateful. There are a lot of things that I have embraced that has, man, changed me for the better, made me understand myself more, made me understand the world around me more, so many things. So like, I'll there's a list of them, thankfully. Definitely embracing Christ, definitely embracing, right, that there is, a higher than us, here. So definitely embracing my love of Christ, of Jesus, and definitely embracing the love that comes along with that, because those two things for me were in tandem. Embracing the power of love and the fact that love can protect me, because God is love, better than any kind of calculative thing that I can come up in my mind to protect myself. So definitely those two things are, really it's all in one, but definitely transformed me to where I didn't feel like I lacked anything. You know what I mean? Like, in truth, don't get me wrong, I'm still going through processes where you're navigating uncertainty, or you're trying to build and develop and progress and make greater gains in life. And so, you always have that process. But underneath it all, when I'm navigating that knowing Christ and knowing that, God is love, and that love can fill you to the fullest capacity, and let you lack nothing, gives me a consistent peace, a consistent understanding, that no matter what situations come, that I'm going to be all right, that I'm going to be fine. So it helped me to trust, to trust without limits in this life. I think that's probably one of the greatest lessons it's given me. All right, definitely that. Outside of that, geez, embracing motherhood, that was a big one for me, because I didn't grow up with my mom. And so when, Ben and I got married and we were going to have our first child, I had so many, like, oh my gosh, am I going to be a good mom? Like, like I had my aunties and I had my grandmother and things like that. But, I don't know. For me, at least, I think, every child, there's a yearning for your parent, your biological parent. And so I had that, but I didn't have the experience consistently where I could see that. So I just was like, oh, like, am I going to be able to do this? And of course, Ben was very supportive and was like, you're going to be a great mom. You've got this. But I consciously and intentionally embraced, and wanted to fully understand what, you know, being a mother is. And man, did it grow me in so many different aspects and parts of my mentality, my being, all in so many ways. It continues to grow me. My kids are like some of my biggest teachers are my children. So definitely doing that. And I guess one of the best example that I can give, well, no, that's not the best example, but I'm just thinking of one example, because you're probably like, okay, bracing motherhood, what do you mean by that? I immediately think of, because when I graduated from East Stroudsburg University with a communications degree, and I had an opportunity when I graduated, because I did so well. Your girl's smart. I did so well. I graduated summa cum laude, and mind you, I wasn't even trying to like really invest in the major like that. It's just, because I always loved the arts, but they told me get a real degree. So anyway, when I graduated summa cum laude, and my professors loved me, and they were like, you have it, like and they wanted me to basically take this program, intensive program where I could get my master's and PhD at the same time, basically. And I would do it in, I think it was like maybe 4 or 5 years. And it was at the esteemed, right, UPenn University, Annenberg School of Communications. And they gave me all my referrals and letters and recommendations. And I literally had an interview because along with them giving me their letters of recommendation, I met someone who actually worked, I think either was adjacent to the school, but they were close to people. So anyway, it was all lined up, y'all. Right? Like I could have definitely went through the program, but I had this deep sense and yearning that I felt like, okay, Charlotte, you've done this. You can do this. Like you're sharp. You can absorb things. You go to a company, most of the times they want to like elevate you to something. You know, it's just the way I am. I'm built. I've been like that since a little girl. I was like reading medical journals and things like that. So I knew that I could do that. You know, I was like, okay, I know that I can do this. But, oh, motherhood though, that one, I don't know. I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know if I felt like equipped. And I think that I needed to hone in on mothering skills, if that makes any sense. You know, I wanted to take the time to really not just, I don't know, I don't want to say like just go through it or have too many things on my plate so that I don't really take it in and I don't really embrace it. And so I literally was like, just knew it. Like when I went to school, I was just like, okay, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to go this path. I want to go in the other, take another pathway. And I want to put motherhood first. And then, you know, maybe on a full circle moment, I'll catch it on the next, you know, go around with being a professor or something like that. And I'm so glad that I did. So that's what I mean by embracing motherhood changed me in so many different ways. And it did. It not only afforded further healing for me, because I didn't grow up with my mom, but then it also gave, and it was empowering for me because, you know, it's really true when people say you are not your lived experience. You are not, even though, right, your lived experience does give you lessons that, you know, help to cultivate you. But no matter what, you are not that, you know. And I just was listening earlier on when hey, Justin, how are you? Thank you. Love all the hearts. Thank you for popping in. When I was going to the store, I heard a message by Joel Osteen. And he was saying basically, I think he was giving an example of this gentleman who wanted to either start a business or something like that, or I don't know, start a new career path. And he was basically hesitant to do it because he was just saying over and over to himself, like, oh, I come from this and my family's not like that. And how am I going to, you know, be able to succeed in doing that just because, right, of his family history and his background. And Joel Osteen, he was saying that basically, you know, once you come, you know, under Christ, once you come in God's kingdom, your biological family is not just your family. You know what I mean? You now have, right, jurisdiction and rights. You're part of the kingdom of God. So you are no longer underneath, you know, whatever past behaviorisms that stems from the family that you were born into. And I felt that, you know, once you know, it was like, okay, God, you can teach me how to do this in the best way, even if it wasn't emulated to me. And so I think that's one of the reasons why I thought of that it was a very, very big transformation for me. And I loved embracing it wholeheartedly. And this was one of the best experiences. All right, Justin, I can't wait. He was writing to me. I can't wait to hear it. You always, I love seeing you in the comments, Justin, because I try to extract the creative energy from you because you always are like, staying creative, which is so good. I appreciate you. So, yeah, that's one. And I'll give you one more because, like I said, thankfully, I've been able to embrace and feel and not be afraid of the things that come into our heart space, and knowing that whatever comes in, right, that your faith, your spirit, the love that exists inside of you can utilize whatever it is that you choose to let in, to give it as an opportunity for you to grow. So I'm grateful. But the last one that I wanted to share with you guys, and for people like Justin and other people who might be new coming in, I asked a question. Give me one thing, or if you want to give me more, because I definitely gave y'all more. Give me one thing that you feel like you have embraced that changed you, or transformed you. Yeah. So feel free if you want to answer that question. That's the question you came in on me answering. If you're wondering what's going on, what is Charlotte talking about? So the last thing I thought about was the arts, embracing the arts at a very young age. I don't know if a lot of you people who've been on the podcast before, sure, I'm sure has heard me say this, but acting was really my first love. I just fell in love like with acting. And for me at a young age, I used it. You know how they say you can pick up a book and it's like a way of escape because you can read about anywhere, any place, anybody. That's kind of how I used acting. I used it as like a social experiment, and looked at it as, learning humanity, I just thought it was amazing how you can kind of go into another person's, right, either psyche or their character, and kind of be able to, look at the different angles and how they look at the world, and not have to, right, live by the consequences, right, that they incur because of the things that they do. And it was just such a creative, and well, I guess depending on what character I was studying, but lighthearted way. And I guess even if it was like a character that I had to relate to or connect with on a deep level, it still seemed lighthearted to me because it was like, oh yeah, this is not my life. This is not my life. This is what someone else is going through. But I get the blessing of being able to step in their shoes and look at life from their angle. And it helped me with, I guess, not being judgmental towards definitely people, their outlooks. And I think more importantly, not being judgmental towards the process, the processes we go through in life. I think that was one of the biggest things and lessons that I learned through embracing the arts. So that's a lot, but it's because I'm so grateful that it's challenging to get to a space. And I'm hoping that those of you who have been with me from the beginning, from when we started the initial statement, some people hear but don't listen, and so on. Some people listen and don't understand, that it seems like, right, at least to me, that as you go through the progression, you think like, okay, yeah, now I'm getting a good grip. I'm no longer just hearing, but I'm actually tuning in, I'm listening, and that listening is allowing me to get to a place of understanding. And that understanding now is allowing me to accept certain things and let it go from the mental plane to the heart plane, to being able to receive and embrace things. And it almost seems like, okay, yeah, you're getting a good grip on life and being able to control and, delineate between the emotions that you're experiencing, and all that might be true and dandy. But what I'm hoping you're realizing is that it's actually, if I can give you a very simple metaphor of what the progress is, it's actually like if you had a closed fist like this, and then you're slowly going like this and opening your hand. It's more of like just slowly letting go, Slowly letting go. I think of the quote, embrace the journey, trust the process. You know, it's more of that. It's more of when you get into a place where you can embrace something. And since I'm talking about that, I might as well tell you guys what I believe the difference between receiving and embracing something is. That, right? When we're receiving, that's like dipping our toe, right? We're saying, okay, we're going to take what has been given to us. We're not just going to accept it, but now we're going to not just open our mind and accept it, but we're going to open our heart. So we're going to dip our toe, or we're going to let it touch, you know, kind of like enter a little bit the heart space. But when you choose to embrace, you have allowed whatever it is to come in and be immersed in your heart space so that it actually transforms you, right? That's the difference when you, and just think of, right, the typical and kind of logical action of embracing someone, like you just literally enveloping them. Your arms are completely around them, surrounding them, covering them. Yeah, it means, okay, I'm allowing this thing, this word I've received, this person who's in my life, to enter into a very intimate and sacred space. And while the information is there, the wisdom that that you're taking in to embrace, or the person, I'm going to allow this moment, either that I'm having with this person, to really settle in and transform me. That's the difference between just receiving something from embracing. And I always like to use the example, when you're at a beach, if you ever went to the beach or a pool, any kind of water space, lake, maybe, you see many different people, right? Some people like to just sunbathe. They just stay on the sand, and some people like to, as I said, kind of dip their toe in the water, like get a little wet, maybe like use their hand, dip their hand in the water. And then there's some people that are like, no, I'm going swimming. I'm going to get immersed in the water. And I think that's what the difference between just receiving something and embracing something. I've had people ask me the question, especially if they have been in a relationship and, in the moment when they were in it, they were like, oh my gosh, it just felt so great. We felt like we were so in love. I fell in love with this person, and then all of a sudden it just felt like it changed. Like, how did that happen, Charlotte? Why does that happen? How can it just feel, like we're in this immersive experience together, and then all of a sudden things change? And I said, I always, as you guys, if you've ever been with me, I like to use biblical principles and glean and lean, on the scriptures. And I usually tell them that there's a difference between God's spirit being upon you versus it being in you, right? Like, and that's, it's depending on where you're at. Sometimes that's a hard, right? That's a hard pill sometimes, or challenging pill to swallow. But I use that example to show them there's a difference between an intense feeling of love coming upon you versus love existing, right? Or you tapping in, because love is there. And I'll definitely be a person to let you know that I've felt the extreme difference between me having moments of love falling upon me versus coming to the truth, and God granting me the grace to embrace the truth of that love is constantly existing in me, and tapping into that, right? That it acts different. There's a different process, there's a different experience when you are tapped in and tuned into the love that exists within you, because the love that exists within you, when turbulent times come, it drives you, it fuels you to continue to endure through it. It fuels you to say, okay, well, love, it's unbreakable, it's unwaverable. So this challenge versus the love that exists inside of me, it's match, right? Or it's no match, right? So it functions differently, and it will produce different things in a relationship, right? Where, okay, if it's within us instead of just a moment where it's upon us, if it's upon us, then yeah, we can be entrenched in that moment for a moment. But then when it's fleeting and it fades away, and challenge comes, then yeah, you can buckle, right? There's scriptures in the Bible where the Spirit of God comes upon people for a moment, and they can either function, right? Either, all throughout, like the Old Testament, you'll hear God speak to people and say, bring the person where I've had my spirit, I put my spirit, either upon them to be able to, do this or do that. And then there are times where, right, where you come to the New Testament where it says, oh, I will put my spirit in all people so that they can, be able to do this and that. So there's a difference, and I think when it comes to embracing things, you're allowing yourself to get to a place where no matter what it is, whether it's a difficult thing or it's even a positive thing that you're allowing yourself to truly, really, really take in, you're allowing it to stay within you long enough to where you're saying, okay, it's okay. I'm ready for this transformation. Like I'm ready to allow it to do what it needs to do, or change, or allow me to discover. Because sometimes I know when I think of the ways that I've changed, it's just really allowing the layers to be stripped so that I can identify what was truly already in there from the beginning. So if we're not afraid, to allow those things to come in and allow ourselves to truly go through the processes of life, then the transformation can come. But it doesn't come without us truly, right, getting to a point where we're not just hearing, listening, or understanding, but now, right, we're allowing it to trickle from our logical plane and our mental plane to where it's like, okay, all right, I'm going to go beyond accepting. I'm going to receive this thing, and I'm going to embrace it wholeheartedly and see what God does with it when I'm not fearful of it. And I'm going to, hopefully, I'll read two other quotes that I came by that I really liked that I wanted to share with you guys tonight. And hopefully when I read the quotes, it'll make you understand what I'm trying to articulate to you guys tonight. So the other quote, other than embrace every version of yourself, which I absolutely love. Oh my gosh. Because I don't know, you guys let me know. Has it been an easy journey for you to do that? And, there's some people that I meet that I feel like, wow, it seems like it was. But I can tell, definitely, have had to sit down and be with myself and tell myself to embrace different each stage, different stages of growth. And learn how to do it, right? So let me read the other two quotes. So this other quote says, embrace who you are and your divine purpose. Identify the barriers in your life and develop discipline, courage, and the strength to permanently move beyond them and keep moving forward. That's why I was saying, well, those who are where love is within you, you keep moving forward, right? It's not, oh, this challenge came and all of a sudden this love that we thought was, you know what I mean? There is now where we're backpedaling, right? No, when you get to a place where it's like, okay, no, I'm going to embrace, I'm going to embrace this challenge. I'm going to embrace all that really love truly is. I just Actually worked on a video for you guys today that I didn't release yet. It's in my drafts. Oh no, I think I scheduled it. It's a YouTube video now that I think of it. It's a YouTube video that I worked on from one of my episode highlights, these long episodes here. I turn them into short highlight videos. And one of the statements, quotes that I came up with on the video that I wrote was, don't allow don't allow a contractual agreement to dictate the covenant of your marriage. Don't allow a contractual agreement to dictate the covenant of your marriage. And I bring that up because that's a good example of the difference between someone saying, okay, well, I accept, like maybe they're, people who have like prenups or different agreements or things like that, or even just what you think you have an understanding of what marriage is, right? When you come in, they can go to a place of acceptance to it and say, oh yeah, I accept this. When I'm saying these vows, I accept this. But when that person comes to a true space of, okay, I receive this, I embrace this, to now the last statement, some people embrace but they don't submit, to where, no, I'm going to submit to what this thing is. That's a totally different thing, right? That is saying when challenges come, when that worse of the better is there, the covenant, right? The true love and me aligning with what love is what's going to fuel me, right? I'm going to tap in to the love that exists within me so that it can guide me through this, so that it can help me navigate through this challenge, so that it can make me uphold its ideals and its principles, regardless of what I want to do, So yeah, that's the difference when we're embracing something, right? So that's a difference. Someone who might just, I understand it, I accept it, it's this contract, what I'm saying, these vows that I'm saying, it's like a contractual agreement, I accept it, right? But breach the contract, I could walk away, right? That's a difference from someone who says, no, yeah, we signed this contractual agreement, whether it's you signing the license of your marriage or if you are someone who has some kind of agreement before you get married, above this contractual agreement that we have is I understand the principle of what I'm getting into is a covenant thing, right? Like, it's better that I don't vow if I feel like I'm going to break it, right? And that person saying, okay, I know this is what I'm feeling. I know this is what I'm going through right now. I know this is what I'm faced with. But what is the covenant that I stepped into, right? Warranting that it's not immediate threat to someone's life and danger and things like that, but just challenges of life, right? That's the difference. So even if you take it out the context, like I often like to do here, because I always say that at least what I try to introduce here are fundamental principles that you can apply to every relationship, not just romantic ones and in a marital sense. But let's put it in the context of someone who is watching this and you are single as single can be. Amen. Good time in your life, right? A lot of things can happen in your singlehood. And you're just thinking of, okay, I want to pursue my purpose, or I want to make sure that, I don't give up when the thoughts come that say I'm not either good enough to do this, or I'm not worthy to do this, or challenges are coming and they're testing me, or whether I'm going to endure, to get to experience the thing that I want to experience full throttle. It still takes that same process, right? It's going to have to, it's great to come up with the ideas and the creative, come up with the creative endeavors that you want, and have all those things be cultivated in the mental plane. But to really, actually fulfill that destiny and pursue that purpose without, retreating, that's going to have to leave the mental plane and get into the heart and be driven by your heart and your spirit, and have I'm going to do this at all costs, right? I'm going to believe in myself at all costs, even when I have to sacrifice certain things. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to continue. The same process, right? Same process that it takes for you to get to that place to experience true connection, love to your fullest capacity, receive love to your fullest capacity is the same process that it takes for us to come and show up boldly, unapologetically in this world, saying, okay, I'm going to empty of myself. I'm going to first delight in the discovery of all my skills and talents and all the things that God has put inside of me. And then I'm going to be diligent and persevere and endure to get to a point where, this purpose is greater than my in the moment feelings. This purpose is greater than the challenges that I'm facing. This purpose must be fulfilled because it's not just, it's beyond me, right? And I'm hoping that the whole, progression of statements that I laid out, honestly, it's to get to that place, right? To where, okay, God, I don't want to, God, my partner, the people in my life, I want them to feel and experience who I truly am in all of its glory in the way that God made me. And I want to start first with allowing myself to do it, right? That's why we have the quote for tonight, which is embrace all versions of yourself. That is like, man, that's such a powerful prayer. Like, God, help me to embrace all versions of myself. I'm working on a song. I don't know if Justin's still in here, but it's called Just the Way You Are. And I'm collaborating with great producer Justin Rojas Beats, and I love the song. I know I'm waiting to get it for you guys. I listen to it every day. But I got to put the finishing touches on it. But nonetheless, basically, the concept of the song is basically, I want to love you just the way you are. And I think, and for me, I think the message came through me because we live in a society right now where it's hard for people to kind of just accept that God made them just right the way they are, and the song is I'm hoping that the message will translate that when you say you want to love someone just the way they are, you are choosing the way they are right now and all the other versions that are going to come, right? In the future. That's what it is, right? I know that's one of the things. We'll talk about something I had to embrace that transformed me. That was another thing that I had to embrace, where I was communicating with God over and over again, like, I have to say this for better or worse. Like, this is the vow. Like, it was like freeze frame in my mind. And I had to let, God do the work on me so that I can stop letting it get stuck, in the mental plane. Like, I heard it, I listened, I even came to a place of understanding and even to a place of acceptance of it. But oh boy, I had to let it get to a point where it could penetrate my heart, right? Like, I could receive it where it's knocking on my heart, and then it's like, okay, will you enter? Will you allow me to enter so you can embrace what this truly means? And I'm grateful, because I prayed that prayer. I let the resistance that was truly in me, because I just was like, I don't want to sign up for a bad deal. I don't know what that worse is going to look like. So why do I have to vow it? I don't want to, I'm not lying. I don't want to lie, And thankfully, God, after opening up my heart to try to be able to kind of understand the sacredness of marriage and receive and embrace what that is, you understand, in my mind, for me particularly, I had to get out of the idea that that better or worse meant that person was just going to get worse. Because that's what I thought in my mind. I was like, okay, that person's going to get worse, and I've got to take it. Like, I just got to stay there. Right? So in my immaturity, so God had to totally say, no, Charlotte, no. No, it does not mean that that person is going to get worse, right? Even though that could be a part of it, right? But it means in good and times and bad, right? So that could mean life challenges can come to test, your marriage, and can you withstand? And can you understand that it's not you that's going to fuel you to be able to navigate through that? It's not. It's your trust in me. It's you'll be equipped by your faith, and you will be fueled by my love to be able to offer and extend an extension of my love to the people that you love in any situation that you guys may find yourself in. And no, you cannot do that with your logic alone. You're going to have to really embrace me, because that's the only way. And so once I could get into a space to embrace that message, then the most important thing happened, which is that I could open my heart to let God come in, right? So that I knew that you are vowing to, right? For me, my husband, you are vowing to Ben, but before him, you're vowing to me. You're vowing that you trust me. You're vowing to know that your Father from above is good and faithful, and means wants every goodness to come to you. And you have to trust the ways that I introduce it. And you have to give me the opportunity to transform you in the process, and allow yourself to understand that the experience of the transformation is really the true gift. So those are some of the differences, So again, I'm hoping that through our conversations, you're seeing, because it could, at least for me, even when I thought of the statements and I was writing them out and I was writing out line by line, some people hear, but they don't listen. Some people listen, but they don't understand. Some people understand, but they don't accept. Some people accept, but they don't receive. And it could seem like, okay, as you become more mindful, right? You're not just hearing sounds, but you can kind of like delineate and tune in to the things that are essential and important, that'll bring about greater understanding, and that you're getting, you're getting your wisdom on. You're able to navigate life without feeling, lost. And the more that I looked at it, and the more that I assessed, and the more that I researched to see how I was going to present these things to you, the more I just kept on seeing the vision of a hand just slowly opening. Because I say often to, whether it's my private clients or the participants in my group membership coaching, that there's a difference between submission, when someone submits to something, versus surrendering something. If you surrender something, that means that you have to let go of something. There's something that you're holding on to that you have to let go so that something else can enter. But someone who's submitting to something has their hand already open. There's nothing to let go. And I always love giving this example. I've been told, you guys can let me know tonight, by a lot of my clients that, oh, wow, that really, that visual, I'm a visual type of, I love presenting visual things for people to learn from. And I always give them the example. Just imagine you and another person is standing outside waiting for gifts to be given. And let's say these gifts are going to fall. Someone's going to fly an airplane over, the street that you're on, and just let the airplane fall from, not the airplane fall. Ooh, don't do that, especially now, y'all. Right? You've heard of all the airplanes and crashes. Don't want to put that out there. Let the gifts fall from the airplane. And, you both are waiting for the gifts. One person has their hands like this, right? They have something, either their hands are clasped, or they have something in their hands that they're holding, while the other person's hands is just wide open, right? And I always say, oh, who's going to get the gift first? Is it the person who has their hands, fist closed, or the person who has their hand open already? And of course, the answer is the person who has their hand open already, and that's a simple example of the difference between someone surrendering versus submitting. And the idea, which is it's challenging to do, I will say, y'all, it's challenging to do. And I try to submit every aspect of my life to God, and it's not easy. But when I find myself in the right positioning and I'm able to do that, and I'm able to let go of the things that aren't really serving me, that are trying to kind of block the pathway of connection. And I'm just like this. It's you experience it, you get you. There's nothing that you have to say, all right, let me trade this mentality to take on yours, God. Like, oh, let me let go of this emotional unforgiveness that I've been kind of harboring in or this emotional resentment or bitterness, or or I'm gonna pull my own card out, expose it, the way that I think, right? My purpose should unfold, or I should my I guess idea of on timing, God putting something in my life in its right time, right? That's where I always kind of teeter-totter in right now. So when we let go of those things, then it's easier for God to give you the blessings that He has and to pour into you when when you're not holding on to those things. And what am I going to say? What I always say, that principle also applies in the relationship that you have with the people that you love, that you want to experience authentically and connect with them authentically. It applies in that same way. And I definitely can say it's been that type of process and unfolding and dance when it comes to the development of my friendship towards Ben and into marriage. It's been that. I'll use the example that I gave earlier on in answering the question, what has been something that you've embraced that has transformed you? And I said, motherhood was one of the things that I embraced wholeheartedly. That transformed me. And what that looked like for me is taking off whatever narrative. And for me, it was like, oh my gosh. You ever had two different narratives on two different spectrums? That was what motherhood was for me, because remember, I didn't grow up with my mom. So I have this other narrative of fear that I'm going to be a horrible mom, because how can I be a good one? I don't really know what that looks like, on a consistent basis. Like, don't get me wrong, I had aunts and things like that were mothers, but consistent basis, coming to me and cultivating me and things like that. So I had fear on the other spectrum of, oh God, oh my God. Like, I got to be a steward of this child and make sure, she didn't go through or feel any of the things that I went through, right? So I have the fear on one hand. And then on the other hand, then there's this other narrative. And let me know if any of the mothers who are on here listening, where, right, is the perfect mom, and the ideal of what that is, what that looks like and what the household looks like. And, you have that too. And so I had to strip both of those false ideologies to really allow myself to experience the transformation that becoming a mother, having that opportunity of becoming a mother would give me, So it looks like that. And whatever the narratives that, someone listening to has when it comes to maybe in regards to possibly, finding the person that is their person that they can partner up in life and what experiencing love looks like. It's a stripping of that. It's a constant kind of letting go of those things that aren't really truthful, to be able to embrace the things that, and a part of it, I know in my process is, again, allowing for those things to not just stay in the mental plane, but also allow it to go in your heart, and see what comes, because your heart will, and watch some of the previous videos from before, because I put, different explanations on like how, right, to kind of hear and how to listen and things that we can use, like hear with alertness and awareness, and listen with your heart. And I broke down, all of those things and what does that mean, listen with your heart, because first you have to hide the word of God in your heart, so then you'll be okay with listening with your heart, because the word of God will filter the things that you get. So we talked about the processes, or the progress of getting to the state of where you can embrace something and it's not going to kind of make you down spiral, because a lot of people feel that way when they feel like if they take something that they're dealing with and they allow it, they come to a place of accepting it, and they're okay with like, okay, let me receive it, and now let it get a little bit more intimate, with me and my development. Sometimes they feel like that thing that they are going to embrace will unfortunately make them, face many different emotions that will take them to a place that they don't want to go to. But I promise you, if you really do allow it to come into your heart and understand that you're placing, or that God, if you're allowing God to be at the master seat of your emotions, and the captain of your ship and your spirit, that whatever you embrace and whatever you take in, it will filter through it. I always say the same statement that I wrote in my book, that 100% of relationship problems come from people just not having an understanding of what love is, and God is love, and we can say that beautiful, broad, expansive phrase, but God's a character, so you learn the character, you learn the nature, you know what I mean. You learn the nature, you learn the principles, you learn a lot of those things, and you delight in it, and you take it in, so that when life, challenges come, then that's what it is, bouncing against, I guess, And I put in the book, 7 Stages of Love and Relationships, that I wrote, that you want to filter your experiences through the light of love, basically, instead of the other way around. And sometimes that's what we do. We do it the other way around, and we filter love through our life experiences, and then love becomes, the sum of our life experiences, when that's not what it is. That's not the truth, right? Whereas if you do it the other way around and you filter your life experiences through the light of love, then, it appropriates the experiences that you have. And what you will have left standing always is the light of love and the truth of who you are in your existence, and the power, that comes along with that, and the grace and the gratefulness, and Thanksgiving, to be able to have an opportunity time and time again to do something that aligns with the will of God, with love. I write in my book that love is not just a feeling, it is the act of the will of God that I'm created in. And if you say that statement all by itself, that means that you're just right, and you're more, than enough. You're just right. You're the just right person that some people who are also just right for you are waiting to hear from. And there are a lot of just right moments and experiences and things and ideas to be created, to come from you. So hence the quote that we have tonight, which is embrace every version of yourself. So if I was talking to someone, I didn't do that tonight, surprisingly. I usually put it in the context of, if you're talking to someone and they're saying, I really feel like I've done the work, I'm doing the work on myself and I'm developing, and I feel like I've gotten to a place where I can receive things, but I think I can do some more to kind of like embrace, the things that are coming up right now. And I would say to them, the quote that we have tonight is, there are a lot of things that are definitely worth embracing in this life that will transform you like nothing else. And first things first is embrace every version of yourself. Another thing I would say is embrace uncertainty, embrace taking risk, in life. There's so many things, that I would tell them, but definitely some embrace change. There's certain things in life that we work against ourselves. It's a counterproductive type of mindset to resist things that are going to naturally always occur in life, such as change, such as that there will be risk, to certain things that we endeavor to do, such as uncertainty in life. So those things I would tell that person is, think about life, and think about the things that are consistently truthful and fundamental processes of life, and ask God, put prayer towards saying, allow me to embrace those things, as I embrace the different versions that come up, as I embrace change, as I embrace uncertainty, as I embrace, right, taking risk. So that's what I would tell that person. And I would tell them, if they wanted to know the difference between receiving versus embracing something, is, I would use the metaphor again. There are people on the beach or at the lake that resist and don't, and please, if you're a sunbather, I'm so sorry. I'm not sure, there's no shade to you, I'm just using it as an example. But there are some people, right, that aren't going to get in the water. Then there's some people that are going to dip their toe in the water, and there's some people that are going to get immersed. So, aim to be, when you want to embrace, you're saying that I want to be immersed in this thing so that I can allow it to renew me, transform me, etc. And most importantly, allow it to embrace the version that it's bringing out in me, and hopefully that's the best version, how I was kind of like, don't always like saying that, but, the most authentic, the truthful version of who I am, to meet each situation. So that is a conversation for tonight, folks. As always, thank you for popping in. Oh my goodness, Emily, I didn't even know you were on here. How are you, love? Thank you for popping in. I'm getting off now, but definitely, if you were on, you heard anything that you like, as per usual, subscribe to my Forever Friends Academy YouTube channel. like, comment, subscribe, spread, spread the content if you feel like it is something, and there are some gems of wisdom or just content that you think is good to circulate and that people might benefit from it. I appreciate it. And if you want to dive in deeper, definitely if you're on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook, it's in the description. If you're on IG, definitely look at the link in my bio. You can look over my Forever Friends Academy group coaching website, or if you want to do private coaching, I do one-on-one and couples as well. So feel free. But as always, thank you for your time, your energy. You can be anywhere else. So thank you for popping in with me for however long you were on. And yeah, God willing, I'll be back on this Sunday. And yeah, we made it through pretty much. There's only one line left. And I think we kind of touched on it tonight. So I'll see if I'll bring it up on Sunday or if we're just going to start something totally new. But I hope you guys enjoyed the long, expansive conversation we've been having around this statement. So hopefully you found some of it to be, applicable. All right. But absolutely love you guys. And until next time, always remember to live to love freely. All right. Bye-bye, folks. Good night.